Joseph.
What's
What's
up?
up, man? Hey, you know what I
You
like,
ready?
right?
Oh,
I'm
of
ready.
course.
Let's do it. I like that bass when it goes out. Man, it gets
I
me
like
every
it too.
time, man. I love
One
it.
one of these times, I'm gonna eventually actually accurately air drum the drum kit. Because every time I feel it coming, and I'm like, oh, here, and I'm like, oh, I'm off like 2 beats.
Love it.
One of
Love
these
it.
days. Dare to
Well, welcome
dream.
to Socratic Sports. Appreciate you guys checking out our episode. And as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram at Socratic Sports. So please follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. So we'll
Heard
get
it
into
from a
today.
friend
Heard it from
too.
yeah.
Is that the Sticks? I think it's the Sticks.
That you were messing around. So yeah, today we're gonna get into the current NBA playoffs as there is no more Lakers anymore, as Denver demolished the Lakers. And demolish, I mean swept them. And the Celtics are holding on by a thread. So by the time our next episode come out, we'll know if Boston made a heroic comeback. Oh, let's start there. Is it possible? Can they be the 3-0 down comeback and win 4? Can they be the can no? Oh well, in the NBA, yes.
Yeah.
Can they be the Boston Red Sox of the NBA? That is the question, Joseph.
So that is an emphatic. Well, if you're asking, is it possible? Anything's possible.
Well, that's true.
That's what they told me when I was
So
a
let me
kid.
do you see it? Do you see it happening? That
No,
better question. Okay.
No. That is an emphatic no.
I mean, they look good yesterday though. Like Boston looked like Boston last night.
I think Boston will win one more to make it interesting, to force Game 6, and then yeah, I think the Heat will finish them off in South Beach.
So let's say Boston wins Game 5, goes back to Miami. Let's say they win Game 6 like they did in Game 4. Do you still have Miami in Game 7 at Boston?
If Boston forces Game 7, I think miracles happen. And yes, at that point, yes.
Okay.
Because at that point, I feel like it's a Florida Panthers situation. Now, I know Florida wasn't down 3-0, but they were down 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Game 7 happened, there is way too much momentum. Maybe the 2016 Cavs would be a better, sticking with the same sport, a better comparison. Again, 3-1. By the time it went to Cleveland, I mean, growing up in Cleveland, I still didn't think it was going to happen just because, I mean, if it's any team that figure out a way to lose, it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland.
But there was a lot of people that were like, I mean, the momentum is just mentally, I don't know if the Heat will be able to come back from that. So.
Yeah. I don't, I can tell you this. I really do think that Game 5 is a must win for the Heat. I think so. And even though they're in Boston, they did it two games, 1 and 2. They did it. They beat them in Boston. But you don't want to continue to give Boston this momentum. I mean, all they have to do, and what I saw yesterday in Game 4 was once Tatum and Brown set, the Heat were making a run. But as soon as Tatum and Brown came off the bench, he looked unstoppable. Brown was shooting out his mind. I think those two, if they get hot and continue to be hot, then that's going to be a big issue for Miami in Game 5. Do I see them? So you and I, we love the underdog. Like I want to see Jimmy Butler in the finals. Like I want to see Jimmy Butler win. I do. Um, so that's where my gut is going, and I'm gonna. I think they will win, but I think they'll close it out in Game 5. I don't think they're gonna bring it to a Game 6. I think they're gonna win the next game. I think what's funny is that I don't know if you heard was it Tatum and Brown, maybe they put on like Twitter or something, and they were like, "Don't let us get one," sort of like that whole, because I forgot who said it for the Red Sox, but they said, "Hey, don't let us win this one tonight," in Game 4. And sure enough, it happened, and they beat the Yankees 4-3 back in, I think that was 2013 maybe. But yeah, you gave Boston one. It's time for you to put out all the stops in Game 5. And I didn't even realize what's the kid's name? He was out last night. Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was out. He was out last night, which
He's
I didn't
been out.
realize.
He broke his
Was he?
hand. Yeah, he broke his hand.
Okay.
He broke his hand. I want to say either in the play-in game or in the first round series.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You know why? Yeah. The reason why I bring that up is because they were like, I saw a report that was they was making fun of his outfit, like what he wore out the game, and they was just like, they need Tyler Hero to come back so he could stop wearing what he wearing, sort of thing. And for some reason I just thought, oh, he was out, like what's going on? But yeah, that them making fun of him made me think that they needed him, which it would be nice to have him. But all the role players for Miami has just been playing lights out. So yeah, again, I don't, you don't want to. They want to close it out in Game 5, I think.
So Tyler broke his hand in Game 1 of the first round, which which is what made it even more surprising that they not only beat the Bucks, but they beat them in 5. Yeah, that one, because I remember seeing that and being, oh, the Heat are done. Like, I mean, Jimmy Butler is great, but no Tyler Hero. So yeah, again, I get it. You don't want to give Boston one.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. The Heat mentally, just finish it, take your rest. Because, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but there is a behemoth waiting for you on the other side.
Seriously. Oh man.
But again, and there's an interesting connection there, right? Because Denver was saying the same thing about the Lakers. They're like, we need to sweep them. It's not even an ego thing. Like, out of respect for LeBron, we cannot let him win one.
Right.
So, I mean, even they have that mindset of, we need to just like, you give them one, you give them any little bit of hope. I mean, it sounds awful when you're not referring to it in sports, but if you give them any hope, it's the last thing you do. You have to, like, when your foot is down, you need to just keep pushing.
Yeah.
But
again, it's a good story though. Like that's why I'm rooting for them. Like, Miami, they have these, like, undrafted players, these late round draft picks. Gabe Vincent, play lights out. Khalid Martin was great. So what I will say, Kyle Lowry, he needs to play. Like since he left Toronto, I don't even recognize him. Like, he looks lost on the court. That's what I saw in game 4. Like, I don't know, like, if you remember this play, but it was this play. They was on a fast, I don't know if it was the third or fourth quarter, but they was on a fast break, and Kyle Lowry was leading the fast break. And for some reason, he was running faster than the ball was going, but it looked like he missed the rim, as far as, like, he missed how close he was. And he jumps in the air and he throws the pass back before going out of bounds, but he threw it to somebody on the Celtics. But I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, who are you? But I can tell you, if they had Kyle Lowry playing good, and then they also had Kevin Love playing good, I think this would be a whole different story right now. because you only could go so far with, again, they have, like I said, Gabe Vincent, Max Strauss, or Strauss. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but they need these role players to actually play good. They need, in game 3, Duncan Robinson went off, but in game 4, barely did anything. So if Miami wants to win, then their role players, all their role players, need to step up, and like they did in 1, 2, and 3. But if they play like they did in game 4, the next couple of games, there's no chance they win against Boston. So yeah.
I mean, I would also like to see Boston force a game 7. I'd really like to see Boston win, but that's mostly just because, well, I respect the Heat. I really don't like the Heat. And I haven't liked them for a long time. I mean, this is even going back to like pre-LeBron time. I don't know if it's because I envy the fact that they don't have to do much to get free agents because they're in South Beach and
right, yeah,
that whole deal. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because I feel like they're one of those teams that no matter where you go in the country, you find Heat fans and you always see like logos
like
everywhere.
Find Yankees fans everywhere. And
yeah, I was gonna
Cowboys
say Lakers.
fan.
I wasn't gonna do your Yankees like that. But, yeah. Again, though, it's really hard to win 3 straight games. Just to force a game 7. And you gotta win a fourth.
It is.
And on that topic, because I was curious, because I didn't actually know, so I just looked it up. Obviously, we know there's never been an NBA team that has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit and won. There has been 3 teams, though, that have come back to force a game 7 and then lose in that game 7. So the 1951 New York Knicks were trailing the Rochester Royals in the NBA Finals.
So 2 New York teams going at it.
Yeah. We're trailing 3-0, came back, but lost game 7. And then you got to fast forward over 40 years, 1994 Western Conference second round. Nuggets were trailing 3-0 against the Jazz. And then go to game 7, lose. Interesting about that, the Nuggets overcame, back then, the first round was a best of 5.
Oh, yeah.
And the Nuggets actually overcame a 2-0 deficit, won 3 straight just to make it to the second round. That's kind of interesting.
And then got 7 and lost.
Yep. And then happened one more time. Did happen in this century. So I did not expect it to happen in this century. So you fast forward 9 years to 2003. Western Conference first round, the Trailblazers were trailing 3-0 to the Mavs. And then lost in game 7. Interesting fact about that one, the Trailblazers went on a 21-0 run in the third quarter of game 4 just to not get swept.
Oh, and then,
wow. I mean, that momentum carried them all the way to a game 7. But again, 4 straight. And I think it's because, and this is my theory, I think it's because you as the team down 3-0, you have to give 150% every single game. And yes, when you're up 3-0, I know they always say, like, we're coming in here, we're still going to play just as hard, and some teams do, and that's why there's sweeps. But there's probably times where I think there's a handful of players that are like, well, I mean, if we lose, we're not out. They still have to win 3 more. But then once you get to game 7, that's when kind of the light bulb turns on, where it's like,
pressure is on.
Wait a minute, we were up 3-0. How are we in game 7? And then they decide to kind of go back to what they know, what's worked for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you haven't seen an NBA team. Obviously there's a lot of other factors, but I think that's part of the reason you have yet to see a team overcome a 3-0 deficit in the NBA. So
yeah. So Boston is gonna. Not Boston, but Miami again should close it out in Game 5, because on the opposite side, on the West Coast, they have the Nuggets waiting for them, boy, and that playoff. I mean, again, I'm not a LeBron hater. LeBron has a lot of haters. I would have loved to see LeBron. I picked LeBron and them to go to the finals. I wasn't sure if Denver was ready for that spotlight, but they showed they were more than ready for that spotlight. And again, LeBron doesn't have much time left. I would have loved to see him go for his 5th, maybe go for his 6th, just to see that history being made, because you rarely see that anymore. And when I see that 6, I mean just to be up there with Michael. But dude, I'm telling you, and I don't know if you've seen this, if you see watch them play the Nuggets, but it's a work of art. It is like the passing of the ball, the way Murray handles it, the way Jokic play. I mean, I've seen Jokic stack back 2 that turns into 3s is on another level. I mean, it's on the roof and it comes down and it's nothing but net. This dude is playing on another. I mean, triple doubles left and right. This dude is. I mean, we're going to be talking about Jokic for the next generation to know about a kid who was this dominant in the league. And I'm glad I get to watch him and Murray play. And I heard a cool story, like, because Murray came back from his, I think he had an MCL tear or something like that.
It was a bad knee injury.
Yeah. And he was just like, he went to the coach, and the team was like, hey, I guess you guys are gonna trade me away. Like, I guess I'm done. I guess I'm not worth it anymore. And they're just like, you ain't going nowhere. And that was the best decision that Denver could have made, because to have a star point guard and a star center is every team's dream, and again, that's why I said that I think if Miami wants to have a chance, again, if they want to have a chance to finish off the Celtics, then they need to wrap it up soon. But if they want to have any shot against Denver, they need to get done quickly so they can get this rest and be ready to go to this the playroom and watch some video on them and get all the cheat codes they can against them. Because honestly, the way, and I'll pose this question to you when I'm done talking, but the way that the Nuggets ran over the Lakers is scary. It is scary how great, how much chemistry this team has, and just how good they look, man. And the question I wanted to ask was you surprised that they swept the Lakers? Because I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie.
So at the beginning of the series, I would have been surprised. I did not see it as a sweep. I think I actually picked Nuggets in 7. But once it was 3-0, again, I don't want to sit there and have a bunch of sound arrogant and have hubris. But going into Monday, I knew it wasn't good. I'm like, this isn't good that the Lakers down 3-0. I still think the Nuggets, I probably still would have picked the Nuggets to win. But if the Lakers took game 3 and it was 2-1, I think you would have at least seen it go 6.
Yeah.
But being down 3-0, again, just kind of the whole Nuggets attitude about, we have to close this out. We can't give them any hope. Going into game 4, I was like, if I was a Nuggets fan, I would have felt pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
A couple things. So it was ACL. Murray tore his ACL, which, I mean, it's right there, ACL, MCL. Interesting thing, though, I noticed when I was looking this up, I didn't realize he missed all of last season.
Yeah.
He didn't play. Like, that is unbelievable. You missed an entire season worth of basketball. And then to come back and play like this, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you with the Joker. It's just the way I'm always amazed by the way he looks. Like, he's kind of a goofy looking guy. Right? He's like this big, tall guy, kind of awkward. Like, if I saw him on the street, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, that guy's an athlete."
Yeah.
And then you see him play, and he just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something interesting about the Joker that I'm going to quiz you a little bit, and
Okay.
no shame because I did not get this right.
Man,
So when I was watching game 1, they flashed a stat up on the screen, and Nikola Jokic was at that time. Obviously, it's now changed because they're going to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of 4 players to win the MVP, but yet to play in an NBA Finals.
Okay.
One of 4.
Okay.
Who do you think the other 3 players are that have won MVPs but never even made it to a finals? Forget about winning. They didn't even make the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So one should be pretty obvious.
James
just because
Harden?
it's... No, so Harden was on the so I thought that. That's interesting because that was my first guess. I totally forgot. He was on the Oklahoma City Thunder when they made the finals way back in 2012.
Yes, and they got swept. Yeah. Okay.
So one is super
Charles
recent.
Barkley?
Charles Barkley made finals, just never won.
He did? Okay.
He made finals.
One is recent.
Because that was another one I thought of too.
Yeah. Who was the MVP?
So I will say one of them, you're going to hit your forehead and be like, really? He never made it?
Let me think. Hold on. So you said
I'll give you some time.
Yeah, you said one was recent.
Like super recent.
Super recent? Who
super recent. Carlos.
Because Jokic won it twice.
Yeah. But he didn't win it this year.
Russell?
No, I'm talking. No? So again, Russell was on
Russell
the OKC
was in
team.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. What was
super? Recent? So Jokic won it twice.
Joel Embiid.
Joel. So Joel Embiid's one of them.
Okay.
So there's 2 more. Well, yeah, 2 more.
And so, Joel.
One of them, the other one, I was like, yeah. When I sat down and thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. That makes sense. And then one of them, I was like, no. Like I had to literally fact check the website that was giving me facts. So I'm like, there's no way he hasn't made one.
Yeah.
His entire career.
No, Dirk went.
Dirk went. So let's think about obviously KD. He's won some KD in addition to going.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of past MVPs. Obviously,
me
LeBron.
Too. I mean, you know the answer, but
yeah.
I don't know. I can't think.
Okay, so one of them was Derrick Rose. Is Derrick Rose?
Oh,
Derrick Rose never made an NBA Finals.
I forgot. Yep.
And then get this, one of them, the last one, Steve Nash.
Oh, wait.
Steve Nash never made a finals.
With the Suns?
Yes, he made it. He made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
But either lost to the Spurs or Lakers, or I think he lost to the Mavericks. Like there was always that one team standing in his way. Like, right? Like he was a great player. But that year, there was always this one team that was just a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Nash never made an NBA Finals.
That's Derrick Rose totally had a brain fart about that. I totally forgot about that.
Was the one I saw. I'm like, oh, I guess just because I forgot that he won the MVP.
I know. Yeah, that's 100%. Like I wasn't even thinking about him. I mean,
because he kind of faded.
Yeah,
like
he's on.
Like I still think he's a good player, but injuries just decimated him so much after that. He kind of he's still on New York.
Was he on the Knicks? Okay. That's what I was
he kind of just faded out of view. Like everybody.
Yeah,
was
after the injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad. Yeah, man, that's a really good question.
Yeah. But now Jokic is not on that list, so now it's down to 3.
Yep, that's true.
Hopefully someday Embiid won't be on that list. But
yeah. So but we'll see if we get a Nuggets Heat final or a Nuggets Celtics final. Honestly, whoever goes, call it an early prediction. We the finals don't start until June 1st, but I'm telling you, it's just so it's just so good to see. Like I was watching, because we don't watch. I mean, here in Texas,
Yeah.
if you're not in that Colorado, Denver
Yeah.
area, doesn't they're not broadcasted like that, so you don't get to see them as much. You only get to see them like on special games. If they playing the Lakers or they playing someone good. But now that the playoffs have been going on, you get to see them every day.
Yeah.
And man, to watch them move the ball, to
Mm-hmm.
watch them play, to watch them just have just so much chemistry, dude, I really enjoy it. And you know what? I would not be mad to
Mm-hmm.
see them win. And the honestly, like, hey, I get it. Joel played his butt
Yeah.
off, but and I pose this question to you too. I'm more of an MVP guy as the season for like just like let's keep going,
Yeah.
because Jokic should have been the MVP.
I agree. Yeah, I have always been like I think the MVP award, wait till the season ends and take the playoffs into consideration. Because to me, this is a personal thing. You are the most, your value matters most when the season matters most, which is in the playoffs, right? Like that's when your MVPs need to show up.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree. I think it should be a regular and postseason award.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like let's see who can make it to the finals, but let's say
Yeah.
let's say Giannis had a great season, and even though he went out in the first round, but let's say he had a triple double in that first round, well, he did all he could up to that first round, so he deserves this MVP. But if you make it, if it's a close race like Jokic and Joel, well, right now Jokic deserves this title right now.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, because the way Joel played, he played okay, but again, he could have did a lot more. He could have been a better leader with Philly, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. And who knows what's going to happen to them next season? And that's another topic for another day. But yeah, Denver and the way that I could totally see Jokic and Murray being together for the next 5-10 years tops, and they getting some like if they win this year, I could totally see them running it back next year. I could totally see them. They because I think that with LeBron fading away, with Golden State fading away, I just don't see anyone else. I mean, Sacramento is still young; they're up and coming, but I just don't see anyone coming and for the next couple of years and stopping Denver. I really don't.
Yeah, so I'm not mad you picked Denver, but I was kind of hoping, because you've been all in on the Heat. I'm like, maybe if they make it, he's gonna pick the Heat.
No.
So
not after watching that,
I'm gonna roll with Denver. I won't say the games yet, but I don't know how you don't pick against them. So the last thing I'll say about this, and then I know we want to talk about the PGA.
Yeah. Hockey too.
There was a moment in the game Monday night, and this doesn't happen every sport game I watch, and this doesn't even happen in every like championship game or important game I watch. But there was a moment every now and then in sports games where there's a play that happens and it just clicks with me, where it's like, this is special. Like there's who is going to stop them? Like that doesn't happen. Like obviously the talent's there, but then there's just like this luck stuff that happens, and you're like, the universe is smiling on you and it's going your way. So late in the fourth quarter, Nuggets were still up, but the Lakers were coming back. And the shot clock was down to like 2. And Jokic is behind the 3-point line. And he's like, I just got to get this up. And he just like weaves this awkward looking shot. And it goes in.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Even he was like,
he was like,
I guess that's lucky. And that was just that was a moment where I'm like, who's going to stop Denver this year? Like, everything is going Denver's way. So,
yeah, that's true. So we'll see what happens. Game 5 is tomorrow for Miami, Boston, and like we said, we'll our next podcast. I mean, I'm sure we'll have a finals matchup, and we'll see. So on to NHL.
All right.
Yeah, I mean your wheelhouse. What's surprising to you is the 3-0 Knights surprising? Is the 3-0 Panthers surprising? What got you
Uh,
going, huh?
honestly, and both are surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
We both thought. I mean, we both picked the Panthers to win, but we
Yeah,
both thought it was going 7.
7.
I
Yeah,
don't.
for
So
sure.
right now it's 2-2. So
Oh,
maybe
is it?
Carolina. Yeah, it just became 2-2. Maybe Carolina
Okay.
pulls out a win here, but again, I'll connect this with Denver. Like there wasn't a single moment where I'm like everything's going right for Florida, but just probably. I mean, I guess probably when they won Game 7 against Boston, you're just scoring with a minute left just to force overtime.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it's going the Panthers' way.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah. But on the other hand, I thought Dallas was going to put up a better fight. Like,
and I picked them too. I picked them in 7.
I don't know. Like last night, I mean, in their defense, games 1 and 2 all went to overtime.
Yeah.
Which, interesting fact about that. So the first 2 games of the Panthers Hurricane series also went to overtime. First time in NHL history, the first 4 games of the conference finals went to overtime. So thought that was interesting.
Wow, that's really good.
But then last night, Dallas comes out and are you down 3-0 by the end of the first? I don't know. Again, even if Dallas would have lost last night and it would have went to overtime, I don't think Dallas comes back and wins the series, but I think Dallas maybe squeaks it out to 5. I don't see how they win tomorrow. I mean, it's in Dallas, which is good, but
it wasn't good last game.
Fair points. They just feel. My biggest concern is, and I'll be interested to see if Pete DeBoer, the head coach, goes with a goalie change, because Ottinger feels lost, and it makes me sad because one, I like Ottinger. I think he is a young, upcoming. He's your next kind of future goaltender star. But he feels. I thought he was the key to this series, and in a way he is. I mean, you can't give up 3 goals in the first period and still think your team's going to come back and win.
Right.
But this moment looks too big from him, which I didn't expect. If Dallas loses this series, I thought it was because they just couldn't score. And I mean, they couldn't score last night, but again, first 2 games going to overtime. I mean, they're putting up, they are scoring some goals, but I don't know. Jake looks lost, and I think his confidence is too hurt right now. If I was Pete, I would start Wedgwood tomorrow.
So, is the Knights that good, or are the Stars playing that bad?
That's a good question. I think the Knights are that good.
Okay.
I think we slept on the Knights. At least I'll put my
because
hand
of
up.
what they looked like last series. Like, I mean,
yeah, but they did win the last 2 games. Like, I should have taken the last 2 games as a sign to come, because they did. That series didn't go 7 and win 6. They did turn it on when it mattered most. And again, and I know I mentioned this before we did picks for the last series. They were the first team to advance out of the first round. They beat Winnipeg by 5. So there's still, majority of this team is still made up of the core from the 2018 Cup run. So my biggest concern was the goalie. I didn't trust their goalie situation. But Aiden Hill is, it's funny. On one side, you see Ottinger kind of crumbling, and the other side, you see this other young goalie flourishing. So, tale of 2 sides of a coin, I guess. But yeah, I think I underestimated the Knights. I definitely didn't. I thought Edmonton would put up a bigger fight and just keep proving everybody wrong. And I think they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Remember, they won their division. Like, they won it over Edmonton, but everybody was talking about Edmonton. So I do feel like it's like, hey guys, we're still here. We're still winning. So I think that factors into it. So
yeah. And I'll pose the same question on the East. Is the Panthers that good and the Canes just playing that bad?
So I think the Panthers are that good. The one thing I will say, I don't think the Canes are that bad. I think what happened is the injuries have finally caught up to them.
Okay.
Because they already came into the playoffs hobbled. And I guess it's I had a lot of faith in them. I picked them to win my first official. I made like 10 brackets, but my first like real one that I felt the most confident, I did have them winning the cup. And I kind of waved off the couple injuries they had. But I think it's caught up to them finally. And the Panthers are hitting their stride, and it's their time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll doubt the Knights again, and maybe I'll eat it, but I think the Panthers are going to win the cup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree with that. But again, if it stays like it is, if they can finish it off or even go to a game 5 and finish it off, but if Panthers Knights go, I mean, I, I'm guessing a 7-game series with that one. With the Panthers
I
winning.
hope it's a
Yeah.
7-game series. I don't want
Yeah.
to any sport. I don't want the finals to be a sweep. That's boring to me. So
Yeah. But so yeah, we'll see what happens. So as you said, 2-2 right now. And the Canes Panthers. And so again, next episode we'll know what the Stanley Cup Finals is. It's just like the NBA Finals. So yeah, into the PGA. Brooks Koepka winning his 5th major. Which the story of Michael Block outshining that story, but we'll hold on to that just for a minute. But I mean, you did pose a great question earlier about what it does for the LIV. And honestly, in my opinion, in one word, nothing. I don't. I, I don't think. And you know what? When I realized that it was nothing, if you um Brooks had a question from a reporter and it was just like, hey, I think he posed that question. It's sort of like that, like, hey, what it is does for the LIV and blah, blah, blah. And Brooks said, hey, I'm sure it does something for the LIV, but I'm worried about me right now. I'm not worried about that.
that's such
If
a
the
Brooks answer.
But I mean,
I'm not a big Brooks fan. So
yeah. But in order, I mean, you could look at it in two different ways. One, like, Brooks is like, hey, it's about me. You know, I don't care what it does. I've worked my butt off to get back here to win this 5th major. And so, I'm gonna celebrate this, Or you could look at it as like, hey, these dudes just paid you $100 and something $1 million to come play in their league. You better be repping. But you know what else was interesting too? Is that if you look at all the LIV players that played, at least from what I saw, so I'm talking Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, I think Cameron Smith also. I'm not 100% sure on Cameron Smith, but I know for sure Phil and Dustin wore their live uh um attire. Like, cause in the live they have different they have their squads. So, I forgot, I know Dustin team is called the Aces. I don't know what Phil's is called. But they was wearing their logos, their hat, like all that stuff like that. But Brooks had all Nike on. Like everything was Nike from head to toe. There was you wouldn't even know he was a live player. And so, I mean, I don't know how true it is also is that with Brooks, some people are saying, hey, yeah, the money is nice, everything is good, but he's like second guessing that he made this decision to go. And you know what? We all make decisions in life, as far as, hey, you gonna pay me good? Let's do it. But as I always mentioned before, and I think me and you had this conversation about is the money worth it? Because you know what, when you playing at the PGA, you're playing for something. You're playing for, the Masters, the green jacket. You're playing for the PGA championship. Live tried to replicate, Scottsdale, the Waste Open management that's in Arizona. If you go to the 16th hole, which is a par three, they have like this big stadium atmosphere and the crowd is going crazy. Well, when Liv had their event in Australia, they replicated that. They had like a whole stadium thing and, dudes throwing beer and going crazy and stuff. I mean, they're trying to replicate this stuff. And yeah, the one prop I will give Liv is that they allow PGA Tour players to get paid better, to have a little bit more lenient, structure and be a little bit more, looser on the, thing. And because of that, I think now we have cool stories like the Michael Block and stuff like that. So, but other than that, I just don't see me seeing Brooks win doesn't make me go, oh, when is the next Live tournament? Like, where can I go stream Live? It just doesn't interest me. What I'm interested in is watching the Charles Schwab in Fort Worth and seeing Michael Block play in the PGA, because that's more entertaining than watching Live golf with teams and just watching them play because they literally already got this money. They're just playing for more money. It's just like, what am I watching this for? What is the point? Yeah. I don't get it. So yeah, I don't think it does anything for Live, honestly. And I don't know, your thoughts on that.
I actually agree with you. I think at the very least you need another Live player to either win the US Open or the Open, and at some point win the Masters. But until then, honestly, I think you need, if you're the PGA, I think you need to cut out the Live players from playing in the big ones and then see, do people stop watching when there's no Brooks and there's no Cameron Smith and there's no DJ, there's no Phil? That, to me, that would be more interesting. Because now it's, are they there for the players, or are they there because I've watched the Masters my entire life and I watch it because it's the Masters?
No, I kind of disagree with you there, only because, if you, I watched the whole championship, and the course that they were playing up in, I think they was in Rochester, New York, and that course, I mean, they made John Rahm look like I was playing out there. Like, that course was tough. It's Jason Day, who did you, Morikawa, like,
I picked
Tony Finau, who I picked. Yeah, I mean, it was so tough out there, right? I don't think it was. Again, I just don't see. I didn't look at that and say, oh, here's Brooks Koepka, a Live player. Oh, here's here's Dustin Johnson. Oh, that's a Live player. No, I was watching the PGA Tour Championship and I was watching Brooks Koepka play amazing at that course. That's what I was watching. Even though these players went to the Live, I don't see them as that representation. Like, that's what they are. I don't watch Live, but when Brooks come back and play, when Dustin come back and play, when Phil come back and play, I just tune in because these are world class golfers. Like, they do things that I wish I can do on the course. So I want to see that. As a viewer, I want to see them come back and play. And honestly, with them being there, they give the Scotty Schefflers a run for their money. They give the John Rahms a run for their money, which is just good entertainment. I mean, how, and me, I'm the biggest golfer. Like, I love golf, dude. I would get bored if I see Scotty Scheffler at the top every single week winning because there's nobody else there challenging him, But it's cool to see, was I a little was I disappointed when Cameron Smith signed up, the number 2 player in the world, to go play live? Yes. Was I disappointed when Dustin Johnson went to go do it? Yeah. Phil is just being Phil. He could have left. I would have been like, all right, cool, bye, Phil. Like I whatever. But seeing these good players leave, yeah, it was just like, oh, that sucks. But to have these world class players again come and play against, for that championship, I enjoy it. Now I get the rules of why they can't play in regular season tournaments because they are part of the live. And you know what? I don't mind the live being here. I just I don't like. I wish it would. It's cool it being like a different league, right? But I think the fact that it was from a perspective, from my perspective, and from what I saw, it was Saudi Arabia standing here, all the ownerships with Greg Norman, and they say, "Hey, Phil, hey, Dustin, look at these bags of money, yeah." And then they came and they went and played. It wasn't anything that was just like, "Hey, we're starting this new league to challenge the PGA, and maybe we can do something to have like like the NHL. It's 2 conferences. What if you had 2 PGA Tour conferences, and then the FedEx Cup at the end of the year? You meet head to head. Just something like that.
Yeah, cool.
That'd be a whole different ball game. But the fact that it was just like, here's a bunch of money, come play for us. It was, it's just not. It's not entertaining for me. So yeah, I don't think it did anything for live. But what I am happy what I saw from the PGA Tour Championship was the Michael Block story. And if for those who are listening don't know about the Michael Block story, a tour professional, essentially what he does is at a clubhouse or somewhere teaches people on how to play golf. And then they get special invitations to come play in, and the PGA Championship. And this dude was just a cool story. I mean, if you just see him interview after he's done playing, he's just like emotional, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm just trying to pay my mortgage, and I'm out here having a good time." And he's over here playing a tea time with Rory McIlroy. I mean, how cool is that, dude?
Yeah, that was the point. I'm glad you made that point. That's when that was what I thought was the coolest part, was his after interview with, I don't know the woman's name. And then she shows him the photo that the son sent at his home country club.
Yeah. And everybody's watching.
It's literally packed from wall to wall. And they're all watching it just to watch him. And then when he got that hole-in-one, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I loved it because he's looking at it and he literally goes, "Rory, did that go in?"
Yeah. So, he's like, "No, that did not go in." I'm like, "Yeah, it went in."
It was like something out of like the movie Tin Cup. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah. No. And then he got that phone call to play in Charles Schwab this weekend. I mean, it's just man, that's what sports is about, man. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just like, I'm excited to watch him tee off tomorrow. And, and you guys know we have a job out of this doing a podcast, and we work together, and we work in the office. And Joey knows I'll have my PGA tour and while I'm working, so he will be on. I have to find out what time his tee time is, but I know he's definitely gonna be on the spotlight this weekend. And I don't know if you've seen the Full Swing on Netflix, the golf thing. Man, you should check it out. It's so good. But they're working on season 2, and I think they're gonna fit him in on season 2, which would be just good to see all the behind the scenes stuff. That'd be really cool to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wish him success. I hope he does do well, and I hope he.
I mean, he has this week, and then he also has an invitation to. So he's playing 2 weeks in a row. He also has an invitation to the Canadian. I forgot the name of the thing, but it's in Toronto. So he gets to play twice in a row. So yeah.
And because he made it finish in the top 15, he automatically gets to pay the PGA championship next year. But like that guy could literally not do anything the rest of his career, and this is
so I don't know
like
if you know
this will
if you
be
saw,
remembered of this. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a cool. It's a cool moment.
He played in 6. I want to say it was 6 golf tournaments, like PGA tournaments. I think, and I don't know if it was the last year or over the few years, but he made $3,000, like a little over $3,000 in those tournaments. The PGA Championship finished 15th. He made $288,000 by placing 15th, and he gets another opportunity to do it next year. And if he plays, if I'm not mistaken, if he plays top 4 or top 5, he gets a temporary PGA Tour membership card, which means he can play multiple tournaments throughout the year.
Cool.
So yeah, there's a lot of incentives. Like if he plays well, which I hope he plays well, man. I want this to be a really cool story. Because the dude seems so humbled. He's just like, yo, I'm just out here just representing, tour professionals, and I'm with my wife and my kids, and hey, I appreciate the love. And dude, if I had to walk up there on that first tee box, or even on that 15th when I shot the par 3, dude, I'd be shaking out my my shoes with everybody watching me. And this dude is just so poised and just so cool, and just has like this great mentality and this great attitude. It's just such a good story, man. I really like it. So, but yeah, so we'll see how he plays this weekend, and yeah, definitely something we'll be watching out and about. So yeah, I know it was something you brought up earlier that you wanted to talk about.
So
but I forgot what it was.
Real fast, I kind of Florida's up 3-2.
Oh man, I was quick. Are they in the second or third quarter?
They're in the
period.
second period, about halfway through.
Okay.
So it's kind of in football. I know we're kind of saving the football talk for when the finals and Stanley Cup and everything's over.
Yeah. No, go for it.
Mahomes, they asked Patrick about the contracts because there's been a lot of big contracts dealed out this year.
Yeah.
And he is still. So at one point when he signed his contract as the richest in NFL history, apparently he's now slipped to 7th, which, I mean, it's silly, like the amount of money they're still making. It's, it's weird to say like, oh, you're only 7th, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But it was interesting. They asked him what he thought about it. He's like, I care about my legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. And he said, so I'm never going to do anything that hurts the team. That's going to hurt the team and keep us from keeping the great players around me or bringing in other great players. And it was interesting because it felt like something Tom Brady would say. I just thought it was interesting. And I guess my question is, do you think he's saying that if they're not winning? Right? Like if they're not winning, but he's still playing amazing, do you think he's saying, I don't need the money, we need to bring players in to win? Or do you think, is he in a position where he gets to have that attitude because they are winning?
That's kind of tough to say. And the only reason, it's kind of tough to give you an answer there, only because he came out the gates winning. Like, I don't think he knows what losing is. You know what I'm saying? And, by any means, they haven't won like championship after championship. I mean, he's on 2?
He has 2. He's been to 3, but he's also been to the AFC Championship every year since he became a starter in 2018.
Yeah.
So
the real question is, okay, so let's think about it like this then. He had Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill left, and I mean, how many of us have thought, are they going to be the same team that they?
I did. I have them finishing 3rd in the division. Yeah, I did not think the Chiefs were going to be that good this past year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, what? Like, who thought they was going to be good? And still, he just, he worked with what they had, and he made everybody look great. I could tell you this much: Kelsey has made tight ends look like one of the most important people on the offensive, in the offensive system. Like, you need a good tight end.
Yeah.
You need a great tight end and some good wide receivers. Like, and I think that's a recipe for success right there. But I mean, you being a great player. See, and it's a good question. I'm not trying to say it's not it's just so tough to answer that question, because you know what? Being a good player comes with a lot of good things. So what I mean by that is that, you're LeBron, or you're Tom Brady, or you're Patrick Mahomes, Michael Jordan. I mean, you have these endorsements, you have all these deals where the NFL money doesn't, it's cool. I got, 10 years, $400 million. I'm good. I don't need to do anything else, right? But if I could get a smaller contract so I could get better players because of what I get outside of football. So yeah, I'm gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? I am gonna say that. What I don't like to see is the Deshaun Watsons who go through all of that and still get paid a buku of money, a crazy amount of money, and doesn't prove anything. Like, why did you just get paid all this money for? Like, I don't get it.
I wouldn't even, at this point, I wouldn't even put Deshaun Watson in top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Maybe he proves me wrong this year, but
and this year will be a big year for him. But my point is this, like, Patrick Mahomes has proved his worth.
Yeah,
he's done it. I mean, besides his brother is making his brother is making that family look real bad.
Yeah, but I don't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. I have no interest in that. But yeah,
but yeah, like, Mahomes has proved, like, on the field, he's top 2 quarterback.
Oh, I think maybe he's number one. Oh, like, how do you not? I don't even know.
I was throwing Hurts up there. And I was throwing Josh Allen up there, and I didn't want to be. I didn't want to.
You're just not throwing Justin Herbert up there.
Is Justin Herbert top 10, Joey?
He is top 6. He is number 6. But yes, I will go on record.
Okay.
Well, I need Justin to see this. I want to be his friend so bad.
Dude, just start a fan page.
I just think he's so cool. Like, but he's getting weird.
You know what? When we name this episode, name it Justin Herbert's Fanboy Fair or something like that.
I just think he's. I don't know. He just seems like some guy who would just want to hang out and, like, play video games. It's like, hey, Justin. Oh, hey, Joe.
I like how you played that all out.
Anyways.
Oh my God. So yeah, again, it's tough to say, but I think he set himself up to do this. And it's a great mentality to have, because if you talk like that, you're going to attract superstars. You're going to attract people that want to come and play with you. So, I mean, what do you think?
So, I thought of it from it, which I was going to pose this other question after that. I know we're kind of running short, but I think this might help you frame it a different way and think about it differently. When I read it, I immediately thought, and I don't think he's trying to do this, but I immediately thought, well, what does that say about other quarterbacks in the league? So what does that say about Lamar? And what does that say about Deshaun? Because I think they want to win. I genuinely think Lamar wants to win. But when you say things coming from Patrick where it's like, well, I care more, it almost kind of feels like he's like, well, they don't care about getting the players and winning. Like, winning's obviously more important to me. I thought it was interesting, right? Like, I don't think it means anything by it, but that's immediately what I thought. Well, well, if you're saying you care less about the money of bringing great players, what does that mean about the Lamar Jacksons and the Deshaun Watsons? And I mean, I know Burrow, who I think is the second best quarterback in the league right now. I know his contract's coming up.
Oh, they're gonna pay that. I think he's gonna be the highest paid quarterback.
So then, and again, it's interesting because then what do you do when Chase wants to get paid? And what do
you
you
work around that.
do? So,
I mean, the
again,
only person I could see that's leaving from Cincinnati if because of money is
Mixon?
not Chase. No. Who's this? Who's the second quarterback? Wide receiver?
Higgins? You got
Higgins.
T.
Yes,
Higgins?
T. Higgins. T. Higgins. Yeah, that's the only one because T. Higgins can be a number one anywhere. So that's the only one I see leaving. But I totally see them paying, setting up, and you know what? It's a lot of money. You saying how they going to pay off Chase? Well, these contracts. I think I'm not a contract expert, but from like what I think, the first couple of years they could pay him like a 20 million salary. Then year 4 they could pay him 40 million, year 5, 60 million. Like they can increase it over time, and they could do the same thing with Chase. Set it up to where they're okay to because think about it like this: as the years go on, and as they continue to win, that franchise is just going to continue to be worth more and more money, and then they could continue to pay these players. So, yeah, and that Lamar thing. I mean. Lamar doesn't have an agent. He did everything on himself, which I respect.
Yeah, I thought it was very impressive that he was able.
Yeah, I respect a lot. And he proved his worth, and he's been doing it for years. Again, I think it's just one of those situations where he does carry the team on his shoulder. Patrick does too, but again, I think Patrick has been. The players that has been put around Patrick, they were good enough to be elevated. The ones that are around Lamar. Yeah, he's carrying that whole franchise. So pay that man for carrying the whole franchise, So yeah, I just think those are two different dynamics right there. I think Patrick get the right to say what he said, and I think Lamar got the right to did what he did, and get paid his money, and because of what he does for that franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
Deshaun Watson didn't deserve nothing.
Take the money, man. Take the money. Like, take it. Especially with he's coming off an injury. I mean, you just never know. Especially playing the game of football. Again, I don't think it. I guess ultimately my point is I don't think it means he wants to win any less. Which is, I kind of felt that from Patrick's statement. It was like, well, these other quarterbacks, they just don't want to win as much as me. I don't know. I mean, at some point you got to balance like real life and.
No, I mean, he's just saying like, yo, I'm hungry. Like I want to be 7 Super Bowl Tom Brady. I want to be 8. I want to have 8 Super Bowls. There's nothing wrong with that. He's like, yo, nobody as hungry as I am. And you know what? It just puts the target on his back.
How do you prove that? Like, how do you prove that though? I guess that's another thing. Is
well,
at some point somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. I mean, at the end of the season, there's only one out of the 32 teams that wins the whole thing. Does that mean the other teams didn't want it more?
I mean, yes, because they won.
That's an interesting point. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you won. I mean, again, look. Okay. Let's look at the NBA. Miami, Milwaukee. Did Miami win it more?
They did. Yes. Okay, yes. I would say yes. Yes.
Yeah, they did.
I think by the time Milwaukee decided they want it, they were just so shell-shocked that it's So again, the last year, Mahomes in Kansas City proved they wanted it more than Philly. And they won. That's it. I mean, there was a questionable call at the end. I'm not. We have like 2 minutes to get this done, so I'm not going to get into
that. I'm glad. So, but yeah, hey, great questions. Appreciate that.
Topic. Yeah.
So another great episode here. As Joseph just meant, we got to wrap it up. But again, thank you guys for listening. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. Socratic Sports on Instagram. Tell Justin Herbert to give Joeman a shout out. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Those that download, thank you guys for downloading. You guys are awesome. download it and share it. Let them know you heard something amazing, some good sports talk. Love it. Joeman, get us out of here.
All right.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks a lot, everybody.